Hello, I'm happy to be here today with Teya, and I think we've known each other now for several years, and uh, it's great to see you again and to be able to talk with you, particularly because of the journey that you've been traveling. And this journey, I think, took place. Well, I think we met when in 2000, what, 16, 17, 18? I'm trying to
Somewhere
remember.
around, yeah, it goes back. I can't
It goes
probably around
back.
18. That's when I got diagnosed. So yeah, it must be then. Yeah.
So you were diagnosed with a serious health challenge.
Yes.
Can you just describe what that diagnosis was at the time? And this was in 2018?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So
I
why don't you tell me about the diagnosis that you had, and how they diagnosed it? Did they use PET scan to diagnose it, biopsy to diagnose it? I mean, what was their procedure for your diagnosis?
yes, I am went in for a routine screening actually at age 50. Went in for a routine colonoscopy screening, and the woman came in and said, "We're very glad you came in now." So in that procedure, they did do a biopsy, and the biopsy was inconclusive, but they still were very insistent um, to remove the entire ascending colon. Um,
Did you say
so at that
ascending?
point, ascending colon, yes.
Okay. All right.
And I think they said it was about a 7 meter growth.
So there was a 2 to 3 inch mass in your ascending colon,
That's correct.
and they weren't sure whether it was malignant or not.
It was inconclusive, that particular biopsy.
Okay. All right. So then what happened?
So I proceeded to go to Seattle Cancer Care Center, which I was blessed to live close to, and I figured I'd go straight to the top. They were going to send me to a local clinic to have this removed. And the top surgeon there said my only option was to have a right hemicolectomy, which was an entire removal of the ascending colon. And so I just looked at her and I said, "Well, I'm not going to do that." She said, "Well, what are you going to do? There's no other options." I said, "I don't know, but I'm going to go find out." So I left that office and got a couple other second opinions, and every mainstream doctor that I saw told me the same thing, that it was my only option. And I still didn't believe that was the truth. So I went on my search for options.
So, that was a very courageous decision. I mean, did you make that solely, or, I mean, what basis was it coming from your spirit, your intuitive nature? I mean, where was this very courageous decision being made from? I mean,
Mhm.
did you have a
Well,
dream, or you just had an impression that there was possibly another answer out there, or you just weren't going to settle for surgery?
everything about the feeling in those rooms and the vibration of what the information, and that sounds kind of wooey wooey, but it just, nothing was sitting right with me at all. Nothing about the information or what I felt in those institutional places. Um, and I had journeyed with Lyme disease in 2006. I was quite ill with Lyme disease,
Mm-hmm.
and I was able to work with different naturopathics and herbal Chinese medicine, and became symptom free from Lyme. So I think something in me knew I can do this, and there are other things, but it wasn't at the front of my mind. Like, that wasn't my decision factor, but it must have been informing my decision on some level.
Mm-hmm.
And to give credit to my ancestry and my lineage, my grandfather and my father are just kind of rebels, and they pave a new path, and that's in me. So I just was able to do that. Yeah.
Well, I'm impressed with your bravery to
Thank you.
actually step outside the medical box to try to find another solution. So you
Yes.
started this journey. Where did you go? I mean, what advice did you get, and who did you get it from?
hmm Um, It's been such a journey. So much has happened. I ended up at a place called Optimum Health Institute in San Diego. Through a wonderful series of synchronicities, I ended up there and spent 3 months just eating raw foods and met many, many
When you
people
say
there.
eating raw
And
foods,
when that,
what kind of raw foods
Mhm.
were you eating?
um, I think
Was it
this
just
place tried to make
salads?
the foods. It was predominantly salads. There were some pate, kind of seed pates, and
Hmm.
dehydrated foods.
Okay.
Um, mhm. And I noticed I was still always really hungry, and I didn't understand why, because I thought it would be the most nutritional diet, and I was losing weight, and that was cause for concern as well. And then I had a 3 month commitment there. When that ended, I landed with a lovely friend named Nassim, and he shared with me about you.
So
And
tell
we
me, tell me a little bit about Nassim.
Mhm.
I mean, who is he?
Nassim is someone who is now forging, creating a name for himself in the field of physics, and I've known him for I think 18 years. Lovely, beautiful being, friend who is looked up to, I think, in many many circles as just um, uh,
A genius.
yes, definitely someone who's forging the new physics, the new understanding in the scientific community of what physics is
Yeah,
about.
Tesla and beyond, right?
I yes, yes.
He's responsible, isn't he, for the flux capacitor that allows you to travel back in time or travel forward and power things and protect you from electromagnetic frequencies and all kinds of interesting experiments.
Yes,
Uh,
his laboratory is a sci-fi film, and it's the most fascinating environment and person to be around.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah, he's very knowledgeable.
yes,
Yeah,
very.
he's a good friend too. So
Yes,
we have a mutual friendship there.
yes.
Well, that's good. Yeah,
Hmm.
he then introduced you to my work, and what happened there.
Yes, we had one of the most remarkable doctor appointments I've ever had in my whole life. It was an entire day in your office in the Los Angeles area, that um, a series of diagnostics, things I'd never heard of and things that I have, but just this conglomeration of putting all these tests together. I feel like I had the most clear picture of what's actually happening in my body that I'd ever had before.
So that was your first meeting with me, but also you met somebody else. Who was that?
Yes, Dr. Galina.
Yeah, and she's a medical doctor, and
Hmm.
she was the one performing a lot of the non-invasive, non radioactive diagnostics.
Correct.
What did you learn from that appointment?
I learned that with the condition of my blood, that it was evident why cancer could take root in this environment of this body, and that many of the other conditions of the body were pretty good. There wasn't any other really extreme conditions. So it was felt like I was, with the diagnostics and information I got from the other doctors, it was just everything was so dire and extreme and scary. And with what I learned with you two, it didn't feel like that at all. It was just information that I could make some clear decisions and move forward in a positive way that
Hmm.
felt good to me with your guidance.
Yeah,
Hmm.
did you remember anything that your blood looked like? I mean, if I was
It,
to show if
mhm,
I was to show you a picture, if I changed my background,
mhm.
would this be similar to what we're talking about here? Let me just see if I can find something here that might look like your blood.
Mhm. I do. The one thing I distinctly remember is that it was kind of irregular shaped, and yeah,
Yeah,
and
would this be like what we were talking about?
yeah, some things kind of glommed together when they should be more free floating. Correct.
Yeah. So
Hmm.
let me just show you one other picture just
Hmm.
to have your memory jogged here.
Mhm.
How about this, where the blood was chaining together?
I don't remember that.
You remember the chaining together? Did
Not
your blood look like
particularly.
this?
Not at all.
Yeah. So your
No.
blood looked more like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Irregularly shaped, clotted together.
Mm-hmm.
Even some of the cells look like what they call, what I refer to as the corona effect. They're in hematology, they're called acanthocytes
Mm-hmm.
or schistocytes. But yeah, but ideal, perfect blood looks like this.
Amazing. Yeah.
So, what did you learn about your blood?
That it holds the secrets. Yep. And then that if that environment changes, everything changes.
Yeah, so
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the things that I shared with you, just to
Mm-hmm.
refresh your memory, and I know you
Thanks.
know this, but for
Mm-hmm.
those who are listening, I want them to know it, is blood is the foundational material
Mm-hmm.
that makes all other cells.
Mm-hmm.
So if someone says, what is your liver cells made up of? What would you say?
The blood cells.
The blood cells. And if I said your bones, what are they made from?
The blood cells.
And your heart, what is it made from?
Blood cells.
Yeah. So all your muscles, your bones, all your organs and tissues, your glands are all made from blood.
Mm-hmm.
So if your blood is unhealthy and it's being made from that, what is that going to say about your organs and glands and other tissues?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah, it's
It's
going to be
going to be a
unhealthy
problem.
too.
Mm-hmm.
So so the blood is only as healthy as the environment it lives in, and also the food in which you are eating.
Mm-hmm.
So you learned about your blood and how important it is to maintain the quality of the blood, because that then determines the quality of your overall health.
Mm-hmm.
So you also learned about your interstitial fluids. What did you learn about your interstitial fluids?
That again, like the blood, it is essential for the condition of that fluid in the body to be pH balanced and to be in optimal condition.
Yeah. So the interstitial fluids, for those who don't know, are the fluids that surround every cell of the human body. So it's a very large body of water. In comparison, it's like the ocean versus a lake.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the blood is only about 10% of the entire body fluids, where the interstitial fluids is like 60 to 80% of the entire body fluids.
Wow.
So the percentage is quite significant. And
Right.
so it's very rare to be able to have an opportunity to look at that. But we looked at your biochemistry and we found that the fluids were toxic, and we found that the pH was off. In fact, it's a condition called decompensated acidosis of the interstitial fluids of the largest organ of the human body, which is known as the interstitium. The skin is the largest elimination organ, but it's not the largest organ of the body. That's the interstitial fluid that's held within an organ called the interstitium. So you learned a lot of information, and you learned
Mm-hmm.
about how you needed to shift your lifestyle and your diet. How did you do that? What did you do to? What was one of the first things that you did?
I started eating only green foods
Okay,
and I put them all in a Vitamix.
and did you
I
do some juicing
simply
too?
drank my food.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you did some
I did do
juicing,
some juicing. Yes.
and
Yes.
what
A lot
about
of juicing.
the orifices of the body? You were orally ingesting this. Did you do anything
Mhm.
in as far as, let's say, salt baths and tried to absorb through the pores of the skin, or did you do any alkalizing colon hydrotherapy?
Yes, colon hydrotherapy was a significant aspect of the protocol that I put myself on with your help, and I feel like that was also a key, particularly with colon cancer. But what I learned is that the colon is an organ like the lungs. That what happens in the colon will permeate out through into the interstitium. So that just made so much sense to me. It just made so much sense. So what goes into the colon can, in essence, affect the entire body.
Okay, so you started receiving a series of alkalizing colon hydrotherapy, or what I
Correct.
refer to as rectal infusions.
Yes.
And the person that did that was not just removing toxins, but also infusing alkalinity.
Correct.
Yeah. So in the form of like salts and some aminos and some oxygen catalysts, reduced magnesium, reduced potassium, reduced oxygen. And that was going into the rectum, taken up by the hemorrhoidal vein to directly to the portal vein, or then the inferior vena cava, superior vena cava, to your heart, and through from the heart to general circulation. So it was a way to alkalize your body fluids from both ends, orally and rectally. How did that go for you? I mean, what was that experience like? I think you were having them daily, weren't you?
Yes. For me, because I'd experienced it in the past, it wasn't an issue. I don't know. And I understand for some people they're very uncomfortable for any number of reasons, but it can be physically just uncomfortable. But it's just it can be something that not only you get used to, but it gets easier as you go along. And the benefits, the benefits become so obvious and wonderful that any discomfort on any level just kind of goes into the background. It's kind of a non-issue. And yes, feel very energized and light and fresh and clean. Not literally, but just in general, like clear mind, more energy. It's
Did
wonderful.
you notice that that after you had this infusion of fluid, which I believe is anywhere from 4 to 6 liters? Did you feel like your bladder was full after the treatment, that you had to, eliminate that excess fluid?
Yes.
Yeah. So it actually, just that 1 hour process not only just infused to the blood, but it actually went through your entire system to the point it was actually alkalizing the interstitial fluids of the kidney, the interstitial fluids of the liver, the interstitial fluids of the lung, the interstitial fluids of the whole body. And of course, then the body needs to get rid of that. And so, yeah, in fact, that feeling of, hey, I need to eliminate, probably just didn't happen one time. It happened probably more often throughout the day than you normally would eliminate. Is that something that happened after your colon hydrotherapy?
Yes, I did notice that. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so how long were you doing that for?
Oh gosh, that was over a year ago now. Over a month, I imagine. Yes. And then it was daily for quite some time. And then, once a week, couple times a week, and once a week. Yes.
So you just gradually kind of didn't need to do it as often. Did you do any follow-up scans as you were going through the pH Miracle program? Your life, took you here and there. In fact, it's not like life stopped for you. You continued to feel the stresses of life. And one of those was, I think, financially. You don't need to go into the details of that, but others was just relationship, I believe. How does relationship and financial, how does that affect you and your overall health? Do you feel that your thoughts and what you're feeling and what you're believing has an impact on your overall well-being?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And being on this journey with cancer and decidedly taking an alternative route, it became very evident very quickly with the types of healers and doctors that I saw that cancer in particular, not unlike most chronic illnesses, are definitely rooted in the mental and emotional imbalance, as well as which comes first, the chicken or the egg, which turns into a physical imbalance. I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
So studying that and going deep within myself to find old wounds and resentments and how those patterns are playing out still to this day and things like that were just absolutely a key part of my journey with healing, this healing opportunity called cancer that I've just been on.
So part of your day, would that include transcendental meditation or some form of exercise? I mean, how would you deal with escaping, let's say, some of your thought attacks?
Hmm. For me, breathing is always a key. Just getting out and going for a walk. If there's a thought process that keeps spinning, I'm having a hard time breaking from, just getting up, changing the environment. Going for a walk always helps because that changes the chemistry as well. And just getting the fresh air. And I have a beautiful spiritual practice that helps me a lot as well, which includes yoga.
So when I think of a treatment protocol, and I think you would agree with this, it's not only physical, it's not only emotional or mental, it's also spiritual.
Absolutely.
What are some of the things you do for yourself on a spiritual level?
Exposing myself to teachings, reading and videos, and silent practice, being in nature. All of those things are things that can bring me back to my core self and to something higher and greater than myself.
I see. In fact, I think you just returned recently from a trip from India. What were you doing over there? You know, that's a difficult place to go to get clean water and clean food.
That's right.
You probably learned that. I don't know if you knew that before, but I know you probably know that now.
Yes. Well, I had a very clear intention. I was going to my teacher's ashram. I'd just like to give some honoring and gratitude to my teacher, Sadhguru, who seems to be quite popular on YouTube these days, but a beautiful teacher with a beautiful ashram in the south of India. So I knew that his ashram had high quality water filters throughout. So I wasn't so concerned about that. But the food is another story. Although it was delicious and prepared with a tremendous amount of love, the green food, the accessibility to green foods and things like that was just quite limited. And then Corona hit, so lockdown occurred, and there was no food being delivered to the ashram. So the diet consisted of the dry goods they had on hand, which was white rice and lentils. So that became an interesting part of my journey.
So did you experience any of the symptoms of a high fever or low energy or a dry cough? No,
not dry cough, definitely low energy because I was losing weight because I was not eating very much because I felt like, not eating that food was better than eating it. So, yeah.
So the low energy was more associated with the lack of substances than of good food, good alkaline food, which you'd been accustomed to eating when you were in the United States, to now you're in India having to deal with some real difficult challenges of getting clean, alkaline, green food. Even if the food was green, it's not always, because what it's being watered with is toxic. So the potential of getting sick by just even eating green foods is a problem over there. So, okay.
Yes.
So you started losing weight and you had some low energy from that. Anything else that you, from your experience, did you learn or you want to share?
I do feel like the spiritual practice, the yoga, was the thing that actually kept the energy moving through my body in any semblance of a healthy kind of way.
Hmm.
So if I were not in India in an ashram doing this, I don't know what would have happened. I mean, I lost 10 pounds, and really I felt like my source of energy was really just coming through like prana and the environment, the power of the energy of the ashram and the temples and things.
Did Nassim's flux capacitor? I notice you're wearing it. It's called the
Yeah.
ARC, which stands for Advanced Resonant Technology. That's a crystal formed in a tetrahedron, which is
Yes.
actually it can come out of its carrying case. There, you can show it. There's your flux capacitor. Now, why in heaven's name would I call that a flux capacitor? Because it generates its own energy.
Yes.
It doesn't take it from the sun or some other source from the ether. It literally is a source of energy for itself.
Mhm.
Did you know that?
I did know that. Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. I thought you knew that, so I wasn't telling you anything. So as a flux capacitor, it has the ability to emit electrical energy in the form of photons that can be converted to electrons that can power your body. Yeah.
I didn't
So
quite know all of that.
what's that?
I said I didn't quite know all of that, but yes.
You didn't know all that? Well, anyway, how does it make you feel when you wear that? Do you feel over-energized or I mean, how does it make you feel?
I have noticed the times I've fallen asleep with it, I don't sleep very well. So I need to take it off to go to bed for sure.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
because yeah, you need to rest,
It's like a little energy, a little engine running.
It's an energy generator, but it's not
Yes.
borrowing. It doesn't, it generates from itself life force energy. The body runs on. Yeah, it also protects you from electromagnetic fields or energy fields outside your own body. It does that through resonating with your own body frequency, and it forms a link, and that link cannot be broken from outside chaotic frequencies. So when you wear this, it links to your own vibration, your own frequency, links it and reinforces it and protects you. That's how it works. Did you know that?
I did not know that. It's like a mala. It's like a new age mala.
Yeah. So so I just had one of my watches prepared, and it is a perpetuating type of watch. It doesn't have a battery in it because it uses crystals to amplify that frequency and reinforce it to keep the watch beating and ticking, much like this does.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So that's how crystals work. I was, just for your information, somewhat not off the subject, but since we're talking about crystals, I met a doctor by the name of Dr. Harry Oldfield. A lot of people don't know him, but he is the only scientist I've met in my travels around the world that has actually identified and videotaped the vortexes of your chakras. So we all have this theoretical, this idea that there's these vortexes, they're referred to as chakras, these fields of energy. You have a brow chakra, you have, your top of your head chakra, the brain chakra, the throat chakra, the heart chakra. But I was fascinated with that. I could see them spinning. I could see them opening and closing. And so he showed me this, and he was the first scientist in the world that identified the reality and the functionality of these vortexes, these chakras that are part of us. The other thing he showed me
Amazing.
was he was showing me the beans, the light beans that live in crystals.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like fireflies. They would fly around in and back to their home, which they live within the crystal. They're light
Really?
beings. Yeah, and I was watching them, much like watching, fireflies, flying around. They have these
Mm-hmm.
little reflections or lights that they put off. And I was
Mm-hmm.
thinking, wow, yeah, these are living entities that make up these crystals. And
Amazing.
and it was amazing to me and how harmonic they were and how synergistic they were in the way they lived within this habitat, the crystal,
Mm-hmm.
and how they would come outside there, but then return back to that. But the reason I asked you about that crystal is
Mm-hmm.
because I wanted to know your experience, because I've never asked you that question.
No.
And I know we have the mutual friend of Nassim who developed not the technology, but developed his, based on his experience and his research, this formation and growing of the crystal in the laboratory there in California,
Mm-hmm.
and then cutting these crystals and putting them in a tetrahedron, uh, that has been very beneficial for a lot of people that are wearing them.
Yes.
Other than the fact that they, for some people, may be too energetic and you don't sleep with them. But some of the experiments that are being done right now is putting that life force energy, that's been treated with this source of energy and treating the water with this arc that's allowing these trees to actually blossom and bloom, producing more fruit by 3 times, growing three
Yes.
times faster, 3 times. And this has been my experiment and
Mm-hmm.
experience
Mm-hmm.
over the last 20 years with what is referred to as SRT, or sympathetic resonant technology. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
glad you've seen that.
Yes, I
And
have. In their laboratory, they have many experiments set up where you can see the plants, some that are watered with normal water and the others that are watered with the water that's been sat with this. So it's just a different, um, they look like totally different species of plants. They look so different, not totally different, but it's such an extreme difference in how the plants are behaving and able to grow
yeah, many
with.
years ago, I did this experiment where we treated
Mm-hmm.
milking cows
Mm-hmm.
with this treated water.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and they actually produced
Yep.
3 times more milk than those who are not drinking this water.
Wow. Mm.
And then we took it to the grocery store, because if you go to the grocery store, particularly to the vegetable section, they're constantly watering the vegetables to keep them fresh. But
Yes.
we were able to extend the life of the vegetables by exposing these fruits and vegetables by bathing them in this plasma activated water
Uh-huh.
from a crystal. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
plasma
Yes.
activated water, extending their life 30 to 45 days longer.
Amazing.
So
Yeah,
so
remarkable.
when people have this source of life,
Mm-hmm.
not only just providing life force energy, but protecting them from chaotic frequencies, uh, this has been my experience, and I wanted to have you share your experience being a layperson in that field, but
Mm-hmm.
also being a friend of Nassim, who has been involved in
Yes.
the experimentations of this for many years himself. So that's great. So
Mm-hmm.
you came back from India.
Yes.
What happened after you got back from India?
I was able to get some testing done, which I wasn't obviously able to get done over there. I actually did have one tumor marker test done, and my numbers had gone up. So that was a bit alarming, of course, in an
Okay.
environment where I didn't have many resources to do to start to um, with the colonics or some certain supplements that I felt were really important for.
So when you say markers, are you talking about blood markers like
Yes, the CEA test.
oh, you went the cancer antigen test. Okay.
Yes,
Okay. And that was elevated. Was it elevated beyond normal or was just elevated?
it was above 5.
Okay.
Mhm. It was 5.3. And when it had been 3 at one point, at the lowest point during the cancer journey, I got it down to 3, and it was up to 5,
Okay.
over 5.
That was after your experience in India. So you got
Mhm.
back to the United States, and what did you start doing? Did you start focusing more on the pH Miracle protocol, the alkaline lifestyle?
I did. I went straight back to my Vitamix and green foods, and that's all I ate. And within 3 months of being home, I had the PET done, the PET scan.
Okay, so you had a PET scan,
Mhm.
and that PET scan, was that with or without contrast?
With.
Okay, so the
Mhm.
contrast, and just so everyone knows, that contrast is radioactive, so it is
Yes.
toxic.
Yes.
So that's a risk for you. Were you okay for that?
I battled with it for a bit, but I figured with everything else good that I was doing, and I do know some what kind of supplements and foods to eat to help rid the body of those types of things quite
Yeah.
quickly. So I just double and triple dosed on those things leading up to the test, and of course afterwards. So I just felt like that kind of peace of mind after everything I'd been through was just an important. It was just like the risk factor. I just felt like I needed that for myself. So thankfully, it came back entirely clean. No
Okay, so
metastases,
I
no
think I
inflammation.
think I have a copy of that test.
Yes.
I just want to change
Mhm.
a couple of
Mhm.
things here before I show it to
Mhm.
you.
Mhm.
Uh, by the way, was your colon condition, was it staged at all?
I had the RGCC test, which is referred to as the Greek test, done as well when I was working at a clinic, and they staged it at stage 1. However, the numbers had gone up. The tumor markers at that point, the tumor markers were still at 3 when I got that staging done, and that, like I said, they'd gone up to over 5. I had a CEA test when I got home from India as well, and it was still above 5.
I see.
Mhm.
So you went back on the program, you decided to have a PET scan with contrast. And
Yes.
for those who don't know, the contrast is necessary because it is absorbed by cancer cells. Is that correct?
Yes.
And it lights up, it's picked up by the camera that's taking the micrograph of that area of the body. So I think I have the results of that. Let me see if
Mhm.
I can share that
Sure.
with you.
Yeah. And this test
Um,
that I had was from the top of the head down to the knee.
yeah. So here is the. Let's see if I can enlarge that here. 1 second. It's just taking a minute. There it is. Can you see that?
Not quite yet. For me, the screen is black. Let's see.
Okay, hold on just 1 minute.
Okay. I did see the previous image.
I'm trying to get this to work here. Is it working now?
I don't see an image of.
No image. Okay, hold on.
Okay.
How about now?
No. Oh,
No?
there it is. Oh, I see some. The reversal. I see slides, but not. Let's see.
Do you see Valley,
Yes.
do you see the
Yes,
Valley Radiology?
I do.
Okay, so here it has your name. Oh,
Mhm.
by the way, is it okay for us to show this?
That's fine.
I know
That's
this
fine.
is personal medical information, and I should have asked, which I did before, but I just wanted to note the date here is August 29th, 2020. This is a PET from the skull to the mid thigh, and this talks about the procedure. Let's get down here to the findings.
Mm-hmm.
The findings is no hypermetabolic lesions. Lesions are tumors or lymph nodes are seen. Now, when you were diagnosed, it just wasn't the colon. It was also, there was suspicious lymph nodes that appeared to be affected as well. So it had metastasized out of the colon to the lymphatic system, involving lymph nodes. And so you went from like a stage 1 or 2 to a stage 4, or what is referred to as metastatic cancer. So this test is significant because now you're from 2018, we're here at 2020, somewhat like 2+ years. We see no hypermetabolic lesions or lymph nodes are seen. No suspicious lung nodules are seen, so no masses in the lung. No significant CT, which is abnormalities, are seen. So the impression is normal exam, which means no cancer.
Mm-hmm. That's what it says.
So how does that make you feel?
Honestly, even a couple months later, I still kind of feel in shock and a little bit of disbelief, because it was my every single day, every waking moment was thinking. It felt positive. It actually felt like a very positive journey. Thankfully, I didn't experience pain, thus not much fear. So relatively speaking, my journey with cancer, I'm quite blessed. But to see this, it feels almost surreal. But
Yeah, it's like,
it feels like I just
wow,
got yes.
you set out to find a solution to the pollution that was causing,
That's right.
the acidic condition that was causing the cancerous condition. And
Yes.
you were a 53-year-old female patient with history of colon cancer. So this started at age 50. It has now come full circle, not from just extending your life, because anyone that doesn't go down the path of chemotherapy and surgery,
Yes.
even at the best, the life expectancy is generally no more than 5 years.
Wow.
Okay.
Amazing.
But
Yes.
even if you stay, on this, it's rare that you ever would exceed 10 years. So now it's been 3 years and you're in complete remission of colon cancer, which was affecting the lymph nodes, or metastatic cancer, a history. And here these doctors, your radiologist has now looked at it through their technology, using their tools, that there is a normal exam and there's no indication of any lesions or nodules from where they took the scan. Going up at the top here, the scan was taken from the head all the way down to the thigh.
Yes.
So
Correct.
all I can say is to you, this is what I expect. And I don't know if you remember what I told you many years ago, but I'll see if this is, I'll remind you, and maybe you can remember before I tell you, just to remember what I said about you and this cancerous condition. Do you remember any of that dialogue?
I don't know.
Okay, let me
Remind
refresh
me,
your
please.
memory, because I
Thank you.
say this to every cancer patient.
Okay.
Cancer is not a disease of the tissues. Cancer is a disease of the fluids of the body. Acid is the cause of the cellular breakdown and the genetic mutation. You change the environment, you start building healthy cells, you can reverse your condition. I
Mhm.
can't reverse your condition, I told you, because
Yep.
it's your body, your choice, and your life.
Mhm.
So at no time did I tell you that I could cure your cancer. Is that correct?
That's correct.
No time did I tell you that if you followed this program, that this would cure your cancer. What I did tell you is that if you chose to make different lifestyle and incorporate different dietary habits,
Mhm.
that you can reverse your cancer,
Mhm.
that you had the power within you to restore all things to where they were when they're in complete harmony and health.
Mhm.
So
Yes.
cancer is not a disease of the tissues, it's a disease of the fluids of the body. It's
Mhm.
caused by what you eat, what you drink, okay, what you breathe, what you think, what you feel, and what you believe, incorporating all aspects of physicality, emotionality, mentality, and spirituality.
Mhm.
The reason why you had success, Teya, is because you believed.
Yes.
But it's not just believed in what I was saying, you believed in yourself.
Yes.
Because if you don't believe you can do it, the body's going to believe every word you think and every word you speak.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, because of
Mhm.
this,
Yeah.
and I congratulate you
Mm.
in being
Thank
brave and courageous enough
you.
to literally venture, you know, down a path that very few people take. We already
Mhm.
know what happens to the people that take the other path. It
Mhm.
ends in pain and misery.
Mhm.
But look at you.
Yes. Mhm.
Look how healthy you are. I mean, look
Yes.
at this. This was a woman who had a 14-centimeter cancer, did
Mhm.
exactly what you did, and
Mhm.
within 12 weeks, the tumor is gone.
Amazing. 12 weeks. Wow. It's
Here,
remarkable.
here is here is a man
Mhm.
who had a brain cancer tumor with a
Mhm.
cyst component, gone.
Remarkable.
This isn't a result of what I do, it's a result of what these people do.
Yes.
Once they're empowered to understand, here's a young
Mhm.
gal before and after with
Mhm.
lymphoma,
Wow.
non-Hodgkin's lymphoma.
Mhm.
Here's another man. Here's the blood of this man. This is
Mhm.
liver disease, before and after.
Remarkable. That's so good to see.
Yeah, here is using a PET scan,
Mhm.
cancer throughout the whole spinal column.
Mm.
You can see the points here in the liver.
Yes.
This is after 12 weeks.
Mhm.
Here you got 5:15 to 8:5.
Mhm.
The bone cancer is gone.
Wow.
You know, here's a woman who was diagnosed by PET scan
Mhm.
with a terminal condition called adenoma carcinoma, stage
Mhm.
2 R7, metastasis to the lymph nodes.
Mhm.
She was given a prognosis of just a few months. It's now 9.5 years later.
Beautiful.
The reason I'm sharing these stories with you is because there's thousands of them. In
Mhm.
fact, uh, when I was being persecuted many years ago,
Mhm.
uh,
I
I want to see if I can find this.
I have that book.
Yeah, the pH Miracle for Cancer. Well, this is the
Mhm.
book, this book right here. If you want to learn the protocol, uh,
Mhm.
you've got the
Yes,
pH Miracle for Cancer,
mhm.
the
I
paper
have
that
that.
Dr. Galina McGallico and I wrote. We actually presented our findings on reversing treating and reversing any cancerous condition in
Mhm.
London in 2018,
Mhm.
alkalizing nutritional therapy in the prevention and reversal of any cancerous condition.
Mhm.
I love this statement by Thomas Edison: the doctor of the future will give no medicine, but will involve the patient in the proper use of food, fresh air, and exercise. Was that the
Wow.
protocol that you were on?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed is. Mhm.
This is my daughter, Ashley Rose. This is taken at Lake Powell.
Mhm.
We would go there and water ski. Well, she had a huge injury. She was water skiing. She was moving very rapidly from the rope off the back of the boat to the right side. She did a head dive going very fast.
Mm.
And anyway, it affected her health structurally, causing some ongoing severe headaches and what
Mhm.
have you. But
Mhm.
the reason I want to tell you this is that when she was in her third trimester, uh, here she's a 21-year-old girl pregnant in her third trimester, she goes
Mhm.
into a seizure.
Oh.
They go to the hospital and they find a large mass in her brain.
Oh my goodness.
They want to immediately take the baby and immediately do brain surgery
Mhm.
and start, then take out the tumor mass and then put her on chemotherapy drugs or
Mhm.
radiation.
Mm.
She was brave like you. She chose not to follow her doctor's recommendations because the
Mhm.
doctor is only going to recommend what he knows.
Mhm.
He's not going to recommend anything else.
Right. That's what I've
He doesn't
discovered.
even give you an opinion. Did your doctors ever give you an opinion? Like when they saw your test in remission, what have you been doing for the last 3 years? Did they
No,
ask you that question?
nobody's asked.
Well, that's why I'm asking you.
Mhm.
The reason
Nobody's
I'm asking you is not for me. I'm
right.
asking you because I want you to share with others so they'll
Mhm.
know that there is a path of less resistance
Mhm. Yes.
and that there literally is a cure for cancer.
Mhm.
But the cancer is not coming from the medical community. It's coming from you
Yes.
and making the necessary lifestyle and dietary changes that will clean up the toxicity within the body fluids and then building healthy blood that then builds healthy organs and glands and tissues. So
Mhm.
back to my daughter,
Yes.
is she decided not to do those types of this type of treatment, and she did like you, began to
Mhm.
focus on the alkaline diet. Well, now it's been 16 years. She was told if she didn't do this, she would die, and the
Yes.
baby would die. She was also
Mhm.
told that she would never have any other children other than, this one that was coming. His name is Charlie.
Mhm.
And the bottom line is she's alive today because she did not follow
Yes.
that path.
Yes.
And I wanted to share that story with you because it's
Mhm.
personal,
Mhm.
because it relates to my own family, my
Mhm.
only daughter, who I love dearly, who
Mhm.
literally had the courage like you had
Thank you.
to go down a road that very few go down. And it's
Mhm.
not without resistance.
No, not at all.
So, I mean, how did your friends and your family members, I mean, what were they saying to you? I mean, and I mean, did they, I mean, tell me, how did they feel about your choice not to receive surgery or chemotherapy?
Mhm. It was most difficult with my family, but they've learned throughout the years because I am a bit of a rebel and live outside the box. They've kind of gotten used to that part of me, so they know to put any to put up any resistance of what I've decided for myself is sort of futile. But I could feel the underlying angst and fear and concern and anger and these kinds of things constantly. My friends, on the other hand, are more, like-minded, like me. However, I could tell they too were uh, were not thrilled with my decision. They supported me 100%, but I could tell they weren't thrilled. So, and then I just quit going to doctors because every time I did, I noticed I would just be injected with all of this fear and other perspective, which is hard not to take at some level because they're so authoritative and going into those buildings and where everybody believes the same thing. It was just traumatizing to my whole system. So after I got those initial opinions and I went back one other time after I'd made a clear decision what I was going to do for myself, it was so traumatizing to my psyche and to everything, to the journey, that I just quit going completely because, of course, they're only going to tell me one thing. So once I got really stabilized within myself and got down the path of the protocol starting to feel better, it got easier and easier, and I just was thankfully able to remain on my path, and this is the result.
Did during your journey of this 2.5 to 3 years, I mean, did you feel like giving up?
Definitely. There was giving up is probably too strong, but there were times where it's pretty tiring because it takes a lot of effort. There's a lot of energy put into all the baths and the colonics and the diet, the food, making the proper food, and you can't eat one bite. For me, I felt like I didn't want to eat one bite of anything that was either dairy or sugar or wheat. Because it just gave my mind an excuse to get fearful because I felt like it wasn't the right thing. So that kind of psychological part was pretty daunting. But that was just fleeting moments. But for the most part, it was just very energizing and purifying. It just felt good. I have never felt so good in my life, even before all of this started. Even when I was younger, I've never felt so good in my life, my body and my energy and my clarity.
So, I can't think of anything else to ask you except this last question, okay?
Okay, sure.
And maybe there's something else you would like to say, and feel free to do so. What would you say to someone else if they were to come to you with, I heard that you followed this pH miracle path to a cure for your cancer. What do you recommend? Or maybe they don't even know about the pH miracle protocol. What would you recommend to them? And it's not really a recommendation. What would you say to them or suggest? What would you share to that person that's having a difficult health challenge?
Well, it's what I do share, and people have come to me with all sorts of things because they've seen my devotion, and I haven't been so public with my results quite yet. So people don't even know where I'm at, but they still come to me because they've seen the fervor and the excitement and the dedication, and so all types of illnesses, all sorts of illnesses, people are coming, and every person that comes to me, I point them in your direction. I should share with them about this diet and about your book. And because for me, it was foundational. I took some other herbs and some Chinese herbs and some different things, but to me, this was the absolute foundation. Without this foundation, I don't think anything else could have taken root and stabilized and done the work that it's meant to do without the foundation of the pH miracle. Yes, it is. Feels like a miracle. Changed my body and changed my life.
Wow, Teya, thank you, for being a hero for yourself and loving yourself enough to be courageous enough to follow your core. I mean, your gut. A lot of people don't know this, is you have more brain cells in your core than you do in your head. That's why I've recommended on a more humorous note, colonics for everyone working and living in Washington D.C. I think we would get better decisions. We get better solutions, and there'd be more loving and caring solutions rather than centeredly focused on oneself. But thank you for being brave enough and courageous enough and loving to yourself, because if you don't love yourself, you're probably not going to do this. And to be able to resist friends and family who do not have a background in the science, and even your doctors who don't understand, as Voltaire says, doctors administer drugs to the human body of which they know little for diseases of which they know nothing at all.
Wow. Powerful.
And when you think about that, when you're questioning a system that has infiltrated our entire lives since we were youth, I can appreciate my father, who raised us on this idea is you don't need health insurance. You need to understand that health insurance is not health insurance, it's sickness insurance. And that if you make better choices with your lifestyle and your diet, that you won't get sick. So we never went to the doctors. We never had vaccinations. We became our own doctors. So, that was my father. And he did not believe in the system. And if you look at the statistics and what is going on in the system, which is mass confusion, you kind of may be coming to the same conclusion that the treatments are worse than the disease.
Absolutely.
So, if you're having symptomologies or you're having so-called illnesses or diseases which are being diagnosed, those aren't diseases or illnesses. Those are just symptomologies of the consequences of your own choices of how you're living your life, what you're eating, what you're drinking, what you're breathing, what you're feeling, your thoughts, all of it's a accumulation of negativity. And of course, fear is devastating. So, to overcome the fear of your particular condition and literally live your life in faith, which I use it as an acronym, the first attribute in thinking healthy, is inspiring. So you're not only a hero to yourself, but you're a hero to others as an example, just as my daughter and others who have chosen wisely. Because not everyone's going to choose, the Holy Grail correctly. Because they think the Holy Grail is in 24 karat gold with diamonds and rubies. And this grail, if I drink from it, will save my life. And in reality, it was the most humble of all of the grails. It was made not in a precious metal, but a non-precious metal that was tarnished. And that was the Holy Grail. The Holy Grail, to drink from it, other people will point their fingers and scoff and laugh. Or he maybe even call you names, which I'm sure you heard. This is stupid. You're gonna, if you do this, you're going to die.
Yes, I've heard that.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they're the ones that are the sick. Mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. And so you pulled yourself up. So you're a hero to others. And I'm so happy that I asked you if you would share your story, because there are hundreds of thousands of these stories. And yet I protect the privacy of people. But when they want to share, it takes one that's very courageous and brave and is very confident within themselves to be able to realize after they've been taught that each one must teach one.
Yes. I
and then
feel along the way, yes,
and pay it forward.
yes, I definitely felt that that was a driving force in my journey. I mean, thankfully, I caught it early, and if that wasn't the case, maybe I wouldn't have had the time, space to be the luxury of that time and space. But I was very clear that I was doing this for something greater than myself. That it was the perfect combination of elements that I did have the time and space. So I very much had others in mind when I was doing this. That if that I went through all of this, that could help others, it was all worth it. And I've never been so clear in my life that I am the cause. My decisions and my past and everything that has happened in to this one is the cause, and I am the cure. I am the cause, and I am the cure. Absolutely. There's no doubt.
So you are the cause
Hmm.
and you are the cure.
Yes.
What a beautiful title to
Hmm.
call this conversation.
Hmm.
You are the cause and you are the cure.
Yes.
You know, I was going to ask you what you would actually say, but I think you just summed it up
Hmm.
succinctly in just 4 words. Well,
Yes.
I guess you are the cause, 4 words, and you are the cure. That's 8 words. That's enough.
Mhm. Yes. Yes.
Well, thank
There
you
may
so
be a book
much for
coming out
taking
with
your
that title.
time. What's that?
I said there may be a book coming out with that title. If I continue to be pulled on for my information, I may just have to put it down for people to easily access, and
That's
that would
it.
let me. Yes.
You know, that's a bestseller.
Mm,
You are the cause and you are the cure.
yes.
Congratulations
Thank
on
you.
your courage. Congratulations on your faith.
Mhm.
Congratulations on your love for self and for others.
Mm,
Thank you
mhm,
for being an example for all of us
mhm,
to put up and share uh,
mhm,
because it's important. And I hope all of you who are listening to this will not hesitate and be brave and courageous to share this
mhm.
information with everyone that you love and care about. It
Mhm.
is that important,
Yes.
particularly at this time when we have been when we are being manipulated, where our sovereign rights are being taken from us,
Yes.
when it's no longer our body, it's their body,
Mhm.
you know, and this Luciferian etiology needs to be recognized. There are no infectious diseases. Disease is born in us and from us. You are the cause. And if you want to be
Mhm.
free of the symptoms of disease, you must make a choice. And that choice has consequences.
That's
So
right.
choose wisely.
Yes. And I must say, I can't conclude without thanking you, Dr. Young, because again, this was such a foundational piece in this journey that no matter how shaky or fears that came in or opinions from other sides, I would, this was my anchor that I come back to and know that I'm going to be okay, and just hold on tight to this, to what you offer, and to your generous availability that you made of yourself for me when I had questions or concerns, or you were just unbelievably kind and giving, and it made all the difference, really truly, in my journey. So I thank you so much.
Well, thank you for the opportunity
Yes.
to be a service,
Yes.
to be a friend, and
Yeah.
to recognize you as important, you know,
Thank you.
and worth a life
Mm,
of joy and happiness,
mm,
free of sickness and disease. We all
mm,
deserve that.
mhm.
Believe it. Believe in yourself. Love
Yes.
yourself, and believe you deserve it. It's a God-given right.
Mhm. Mhm.
Men might be that they
Yes.
might have joy, and
Mhm.
I can see joy all over your face. I can see it in your
Yes.
countenance, but I can see it
Yes.
deeper than skin. I can see it from coming from spirit, from that
Mhm.
soul which resides within you. Because
Yes,
we
indeed.
are truly spiritual beings having a physical experience, brothers and sisters, not physical beings having a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings having a physical experience. We have to recognize
Mhm.
that we are eternal in nature and that we're here to learn and to grow and to learn from each other and to love each other, you know. So
Indeed.
thank you for sharing and
Yes,
thank
my
you for
pleasure.
caring.
My pleasure. Thank you. Yes, and for the opportunity to share.
All right,
Wonderful.
all the best. Have a beautiful day
You too.
and look forward to all the people that you're going to be able to help by your
Mm-hmm.
example.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
By your fruits you shall know them. Here is one of the fruits.
Yes.
All the best.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. You too. Bye.